Minutes past 9 o'clock right now. And last week, our good friend Sherry Clark of Fork in the Road introduced us to a few fresh herbs that about everybody can grow, even if you live in an apartment. Showed you how to do all that.
I got some of my own. I got suckered in. I just should say suckered in, but
drawn in. Drawn in.
Enticed.
You must have hit a chord, but apparently a lot of viewers related to this, and they get a lot of emails and questions about this, which is a good thing. But before we talk about what you have in front of you now, last week of a special series, What the Fork?
Exactly. That's
what
exactly
Yeah.
What the Fork.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the last week. We're winding up. I had 25 days of interviews with 25 experts. We're going into an encore presentation now. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you can listen to all of them. I was releasing the interviews one day at a time, but now they're all going to be available starting tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes. So I'm very excited. So if you're interested in tuning into that, if you've either missed any of the interviews that came prior or didn't sign up to begin with, go to www.sowhatthefork.com. Register there. It's completely free, and I've gotten great feedback from people.
And you had quite a few people that are participating too, right?
At the end of the day, 5,400.
Wow.
Yeah,
and some incredible experts.
Yeah, they are from all over the country and all over the world. So I'm so excited about this.
Wonderful. Well, let's get to what you brought in with us today. Now, I was excited because I loved what you made last week for us. So I went out and I got like 6 or 7 plants. One really quick question, because I'm new to doing this on my own without just going to a store and purchasing it already done. If I want them to continue to grow, because they look exactly what you have in front of you, do I need to clip them so that they continue to grow, or how do I know it's ready so that I can use them in recipes?
Great question. Well, what I would do, and what I do, I have a yard because I have a home, and I have a square foot garden in the back. And so
raised area.
Raised beds, some people call them. Yep. And so I just would take this entire plant and transplant it there. If you don't have that, either because you have an apartment or you just don't want to mess around with making a square foot garden, I would probably transfer it to a slightly larger pot so that it's got some room to grow.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I just think it looks nice. You can put them in matching pots. You can move them around and that type of thing. And I make them part of the decor. I'll clip my herbs, and instead of buying flowers, use them as centerpieces on my table. In terms of knowing when they're ready, these would all be fine. It's not like a tomato where you have to let it get red and it's too, if you clip it too early, it doesn't taste good. It's all going to be fine. In some cases, herbs will become more strong and more pronounced. In some cases, they'll become less fragrant. So you just kind of play with it. You can't do it wrong.
And where would you clip them? Would you go it all the way down to the base and leave just a little nubbin sticking out of the dirt, or where would you specifically cut them to take it?
With this case, with thyme, because you're usually using sprigs, I would clip down at the bottom. And you've got lots here. I will never get through all the thyme this summer. So I'll clip just the base, and then it will regrow.
Okay.
If I'm doing something like mint leaves, I'll do the same thing. This is a lemon balm. It will get a lot bigger. I'd clip it down near the bottom, or you can pinch off a leaf or two.
A leaf, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
And this is lavender. So these are just some more examples of some plants and some herbs that are really easy to grow and really, really easy to use.
You mentioned lavender. Some people might not know what lavender is. They think it's a color.
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up, because I almost got one of those and I'm like, but what in the world would I do with it?
Well, first of all, it's fragrant and beautiful, and it flowers. So what I do is I should make you one of these one time. I do a lavender lemon smoothie. So you dry the flowers and then you break them up and put them into the smoothie with some lemon and blueberry, and it's wonderful.
Amazing. Well, that's the other thing I was wondering. Can you use them fresh like this and grind them and just chop them up finely, or do you always have to dry them out?
Both. You use them both ways. Some of them, and it depends on your recipe. Remember this: fresh herbs are less concentrated than dried. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because if I were to clip some of these leaves and dehydrate them or dry them or something, they're going to get smaller. And then I'll crush them up, and then I'll measure them for a recipe. Well, there's going to be more of
in
the
that
herb.
more volume.
Exactly. So that's thus much more flavor. So sometimes you can substitute. In most recipes you can swap out. A good rule of thumb is a 1-to-3 ratio. If it calls for 1 teaspoon of a dried herb, that would be 1 tablespoon, which is the same as 3 teaspoons of a fresh herb.
Okay.
So
all good
easy to remember.
Thank you.
So I played with herbs today.
Oh,
and
good.
So the first thing I did was I took the lemon balm, because a lot of times people are like, well, that's nice, and it's a member of the mint family, so it grows abundantly, but what do I do with it?
Lemon balm.
Lemon balm.
Okay.
I love to make tea with it, and so I just made you a simple lemon balm, unsweetened, no other accompaniments, just a plain.
Just pluck the leaves off and
And,
toss them in.
and remind us how you do this. You basically just boil the leaves?
I just basically I put these. I clipped off just the leaves. I didn't do the stems,
Okay.
and put them in my tea maker. And
Okay.
then I have a automatic tea maker, and it steeps the tea. And and if you don't have a tea maker, you just pour the hot water over the tea leaves, and they're fine.
Tastes like
ready
the
to go.
fancy tea that you buy in the stores. yeah.
Exactly,
It's
and
a-
it's
it's
you
wonderful
can't get any
taste.
cheaper than that. I went out in the yard and clipped off a few leaves, and there you go.
Mixed with
Make
water
you drink
and
it.
go.
Expensive stuff, yeah.
Exactly.
Would you be able to drink this cold at all?
Yeah, it's great cold.
Okay.
And it's also great mixed with other things. So if you're making a regular black tea, you could do half lemon balm, and then you don't have to add the lemon because it's got a definitely lemon
No
flavor.
question.
Flavor
Yeah.
to it.
So then I was on a little lemon riff. So I made some lemon basil bites for you, and that's what-
Lemon and basil.
lemon and
combo.
basil, and it's a
Okay.
dessert. It's sweet, so I'm telling you. So it's not savory, and it's got some coconut in it, and yeah.
So it's chewy for coconut.
Uh-huh. And I just love it. I think the basil comes through, the lemon comes through.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that great?
Lemon just jumps out at you.
Yeah, it does. It's got lemon juice and lemon zest both together, and that complements the basil
Would
really
this be like a
nicely.
macaroon?
Yeah, very much like a macaroon.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
good.
You could, in fact, you could make them into little rounds, and then they would look more like what you expect a macaroon to look like. But I like to make them into little bites. I think it makes them real pretty.
Lots of fresh flavors
That's
just
really
kind of
good.
pop on the tongue.
And then the last thing I did was. This isn't what I was going to bring you.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so originally, I'll tell you what we ended up with. What we ended up with is blueberry and thyme together. I'm sorry, blueberry and rosemary together. So what I did was last week we had rosemary lemonade, and you really enjoyed that.
so good.
So I steeped some more rosemary to make a tea, and then I just basically added blueberry, so it's almost like a slushy, not really a smoothie.
Okay.
Taste that.
What was it supposed to be?
What it was supposed to be, I originally had made, and I made it, and it smelled good, and it tasted good, and I always test drive before I bring things here. You're not my guinea pigs.
Oh,
so
that's good.
It's good and tart.
Yeah, I made a raspberry and blueberry smoothie, and I also used the rosemary in it. So if you know anything about raspberries, they've got tiny little seeds, all right? So the tiny little seeds go in there, and that's not always a problem. I have a high-speed blender. But then I chopped up rosemary, which looks like pine needles, and put that in there. And the combination of the two things, when I tasted it, was delicious. But it made you cough because those tiny little things get caught in the back of your throat.
Just
So you
kind of
have the-
tickle you a little bit.
You have the pine
Probably
needle
not the
edges.
best thing for live television.
And like sticking you in the throat, and then you have the edge of the seeds.
The
that are-
seeds, and then they'd be in your teeth. And I thought, I wouldn't get invited back here. So
Next time, do it. Do it
I
regardless.
say it sounds delicious.
Yeah.
But
Then you
remind
can
us,
take a
what is
break.
this
Good.
again?
So it's kind of a blueberry slushy. It's just
Okay.
blueberry that I put in with some rosemary tea.
Now,
and
what kind of blueberries did you use? Fresh ones or frozen
I
ones?
used frozen,
Frozen,
because
that's
I
easy. That
it's-
really is.
It's easier. Plus, they break down better, and
really?
it also gives it that cold, slushy kind of a taste.
True.
This has been sitting out since commercial, so it's a little bit not so slushy, but that gives you that kind of feel.
And you don't need ice then.
No, you don't need ice.
Right.
And this would make a really nice popsicle.
Oh,
so
there
you
you
could
go.
take that and put it into a cold pop
Right.
mold. And if you don't have that, you just take a Dixie cup, put a tongue depressor in there, put in the freezer, and
Because
boom.
everybody has tongue depressors at home.
Okay, hobby sticks or
Go
craft,
there you go.
craft
You get some
sticks.
popsicle sticks.
Heck, get a twig out of the backyard, you know.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I'm going to do that.
I can't believe anything that you've made with rosemary has been absolutely delicious. So
See, and
another
that's something-
very refreshing drink. Kind of maybe do a red, white, and blue theme for Memorial Weekend. You never know, but something you
Perfect.
definitely
Like we
wanna
mentioned
try.
last week, people either you love or you hate rosemary. One of the two.
Right.
There's very few people that are in between.
And I think
Oh,
thyme
it
is
is
one of those ones as well. I really like thyme with roasted vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. You just remember when you're using fresh herbs, if you're cooking them, you add them at the last moment because you don't want them to get you don't want to cook them really. They're
wanna
there
burn
to
'em.
right. They're there to infuse and add
Another
their
good thing
flavor.
to know.
All right, reminder one more time. People want to get your series. First of all, you can get information, everything we talked about, other great recipes at fork-road.com. But again, your series, What the Fork, I have a chance to get caught up starting tomorrow.
Yes, so you would go to sowhatthefork.com, and you've got from now until Monday to listen to all of those interviews, and including the live video interview I did with Joe Cross of Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. So people will want to definitely see that.
That's
Wonderful.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Good
Continuing
job,
to
as
learn and
always.
enjoy great things.
We will be right